What's up, everybody? It is Wednesday, April 26th. We are going to talk NBA playoffs. A lot to talk about. What's going on with the Lakers? What's going on with the Celtics? We didn't expect anything from the Celtics. What's going on with the Knicks? We're going to talk about that. Phil Mickelson has broken history again. Not broken history, but made history again. So much more. The Wire starts right now. What is up, everybody? What's up, fellas? We are missing Richie Phillips this week, but he will be back. He is working, and that is okay. So real quick, guys, because we do have some topics to get to. How you doing?
Doing great. Glad to be here with you, fellas. Let's get it.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get things kicked off. Now, we do have a GOAT alert to take care of. And we will get Richie's weigh in when he comes back on the GOAT alert. So this first half, we will cover a story and then we'll get into the GOAT conversation. So first and foremost, let's look at the start of the NBA playoffs because they have happened. They're going on. Around this time every year, we have to remind the guests that we do record a couple of days before you see this. So there may be a game or so after we have recorded. But let's talk about the Nets game one against the Celtics. The Nets took the dub 104-93. Now, Boston is said by many to be outmatched anyway. But that being said, I do have a couple of questions, guys. First and foremost, what is there to be said about the cohesiveness shown by the Nets' big three in game one? Because we do know going into the playoffs, they'd only played a handful of times. I believe it was 7 or 8 times where they played together. And from where I was sitting, as much as I don't want to root for them, they played like a cohesive unit. They shared the weight of the ball, or the weight of the game. What do you guys think?
Yeah, they look like how you would expect them to look. And one thing that I thought that was impressive to me was what they did on the defensive end, holding the Celtics to just 93 points. Like, I figured, like, anytime you watch the Nets, it's going to be a high-scoring game. Pretty much teams are going to be doing what they want. But honestly, I think the Celtics weren't really ready for game one. They looked like they were lacking energy. I mean, they were up for a little bit. They were making it a game, but then I think they just ran out of gas. But for the Nets, it's totally not shocking at all to see them come out and play a good first game. It wasn't spectacular. They did what they had to do, but it's encouraging for sure.
Marvin, we really haven't seen these guys play together. Did they know all along that it wasn't going to be a problem, and that's why? Or are we seeing Sahi's conspiracy theory come to fruition, where they were just taking turns, taking breaks, nobody was ever really hurt?
I think they knew all along going into this game that they had the advantage. I mean, Boston's missing Jaylen Brown, which is a huge loss to their team, their starting five, because when you got Jason Tatum out there and Jaylen Brown on the same floor, you're balancing out your offense. I mean, along with Kemba Walker. So, I mean, they have like a big three of their own, but they're outmatched and they just don't have enough talent. Their starting five doesn't match up with the Nets starting five. I mean, KD, Kyrie, and James Harden combined for 80 points. So when you look at that, I mean, Boston has to, play better defense, but at the same time, they can't guard any of those guys one-on-one. I think a lot of switches you had Tristan Thompson come out there to guard James Harden. That can't happen. You know, James Harden's just going to do a step back three or just shoot it right in his face, draw the foul. And Kyrie Irving's going to do what he does. So Boston is just, unfortunately, they're just shorthanded right now. They have no Jaylen Brown. And, you know, I think outside of that, you got to look at the coaching. I think if you look at the end of this series, we probably got to examine Brad Stevens being somewhat of an issue in Boston, because you've got a lot of talent here. I mean, they haven't necessarily, made they've taken some short steps back. Granted the Jaylen Brown injury, but this game alone kind of just, stands out, to me, whether or not they're going to really stick it out in this series, because Blake Griffin had 1 point. And if you get Blake Griffin and the rest of the role players to actually show up, it could have been it could have been more of a blowout. It could have been 132-93. It could have been 146-93. That's the thing. So I think Boston has to make the necessary adjustments going into game 2. But after game 1, Sean, I don't really see what they could do.
Yeah, let's go ahead and touch on that. What do you think the rest of this series looks like? Is it just going to be a blowout, or can Boston get back in it?
I think it might be. I don't want to say it's going to be a blowout, but I think that the Nets can easily sweep this series. I really don't see Boston getting a win. On the next 3 games. I really don't see it. I mean, I think Jason Tatum could put on a great performance, but I just don't think it's enough. You need the other guys to show up. You need Kemba Walker to play better, but Kemba Walker and Jason Tatum are probably not enough. Now, if they get hot, who knows? It could be a closely contested game, one of these, games in Boston. But Boston's going to have to put up a fight. If anything, I only see them winning 1 game.
Sahi, what do you think?
Well, I think Boston has a chance, especially with Jason Tatum. Yeah, you don't have Jaylen Brown, and some of the other guys are a little down, but Jason Tatum's a star player. I think he could, when they go to Boston, they can maybe snatch a game or 2, make it a 5, maybe 6 game series. I don't see the Nets as killers, as in they're just going to come out and just sweep you and dominate you like that. They got to prove that to me before I give them that, they're just going to wipe the floor with the Boston Celtics. I feel like Jaylen Brown, he's got some pride about himself, and he's not going to let it happen like that. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to just let KD and Kyrie come in there and, sweep them. At least I hope not.
All right. Well, that does bring me to my next point about this, and then we'll move on. Is it time to stop worrying about the Nets? I mean, we talked about it all season long. The Nets theoretically should be this big powerhouse, right? And they should. We know they can put the offensive power together. We haven't seen a whole lot of defense until this first playoff game, where we saw a little bit of defense going on. With this cohesiveness between the big 3 and some defensive showing and some playoff momentum starting to build, can we stop worrying about the Nets? What do you think, Sahi?
No, we can't stop worrying about the Nets. They should be scoring 300 points. No, I'm just playing. They should be scoring a lot of points a game, not just 104 points a game. You know what I'm saying? They need to be shooting the lights out. The defense looked a little bit better, but like Marv was saying, the Celtics are shorthanded. You know what I'm saying? They don't have everything hitting right now. So the Nets should have really came out and blew these boys out of the water. But they didn't. The Celtics play in the play-in tournament? So they're tired from the play-in tournament coming in. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long season. Now they got to play the Nets. And they play hard enough to stay in it within, 10, 11 points. But, you know what I'm saying? I'm still worried about the Nets for sure. Like I was saying about them sweeping. They got to show it to me before I start believing.
Marvin?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. We can't stop worrying about the Nets just yet. They haven't been tested. Like I said, Boston is underhanded. So this is not the ideal test that, the fans like us, even on the wire, are expecting to see. We're expecting to see them go up against, Philly, expecting them to go up against Milwaukee if they advance, but they're going to have to prove that they're ready defensively, that they're just as defensively sound as their offense. And they haven't proven that yet because they haven't been on the floor enough together. So I think they got a long way to go, even past the first round. So we'll see, but they're not out of the woods yet. They gave up the assets that they needed, I think, to be a dual threat, offensively and defensively. When they gave up Jared Allen, when you gave up Karis LeVert, you sacrificed that for superstars. You got James Harden, Kyrie, and KD, but can they defensively, do it for a 7-game series? We're gonna see. So I don't think we're out of the woods yet.
Well, I'll wait till we're whole before we go back to making amends. But I will take this little second to say I am surprised at how cohesive the three did look, and how much they shared the ball and shared the opportunity. And they looked like a team. So I got to go back on what I've said in the past. We're done with that, though. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to take a step out of basketball because I think the whole rest of today is about basketball. And I'm sorry, folks, but it's NBA playoff season. But history was made. Phil Mickelson, at age 50, has made golf history as he turned 2 bogeys in his first 3 holes into a PGA championship. That makes Mickelson the oldest golfer to ever win the chip. And this win pads his now 6 major victories. He's got, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I put a pound symbol in here, so that must be 3 Masters, 2 PGAs, and a win at the Open. Guys, first and foremost, how does this win resonate with you? And I think we start with Marvin.
It's a great moment in history for Phil Mickelson. Not really a big Phil Mickelson guy. I'm a Tiger Woods guy, but I had to put that aside. Respect Phil Mickelson's game, his career, everything that he's put in. It's been a while since he's won a major. You feel like some of the majors and tournaments I've watched, it seemed like Phil wasn't in the field, but he's kept playing all these years, and with no signs of really kind of slowing down if he wants to join that Champions Tour. Because I know at 50 years old, this is huge because you have that opportunity to join that Champions Tour. Champions Tour consists of guys that are retired from the PGA that are at that age, but he's still playing professionally. So that's something to highlight because there's a lot of guys that, just ready to kind of give up the game. They've lost that some of the ability that they had when they were younger or throughout their 30s. Kind of lose a little bit off of, maybe the swing, their short game, whatever it may be, as they get older. But Phil has kept his game sharp and he deserved to win. Now, the real question I think is, can Phil sustain it? Can he string along these victories? Because Phil Mickelson hasn't done that, to me, in a long, long time. And a lot of guys, like I said, at that age, it's tough to do that when you got a lot of guys in the field that are that competitive.
Sahi, so like I mentioned, he actually started pretty rough. He had 2 bogeys in his first 3 holes. What is there to be said about, someone at that age with kind of the majority of his career behind him, having a rough start, and then, as an athlete, I'm sure you can appreciate him turning that into the chip.
Yeah, if you stick with it, perseverance, I feel like in golf, it's just you'll have your days. Okay, I'm terrible at golf, so I don't watch it. I don't understand the lick of it, to be honest. to be honest. But
bogeys are bad.
Bogeys are bad. See, a second, I was just about to say, yeah, he made those bogeys. Who's doing it like Phil?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So if Tiger's not playing, then it kind of takes a little bit off of the viewership watching the tournament. That's what I'm saying. Especially on the wide.
Yeah,
that's what we live to talk about. Like, the Tiger play, that's the first question that came to mind. And he was like, nah, okay.
I thought Phil Mickelson was, that's his name. I thought he was retired. I know he's been in the game a long time. And to hear him, that's great. I feel like it's terrible for the, I'm not going to say that, but because a 43-year-old quarterback just won the Super Bowl. But
for your team.
Right, for my team. But so, I mean, that's kind of what it reminded me of. It's like, man, the old guys are really, you know what I'm saying? As I get older, it's like inspiration to me, kind of, in a way, if you think about it. Like, you stick with it long enough. Yeah, I'm getting old, so, you know what I'm saying? Just stick with it. Maybe I'll you know what I'm saying?
It's on its way. Just some names off the top of my head. Mickelson is only 5 years Tiger Woods elder. And Tiger Woods just had one, a year ago or 2 years ago?
Yeah. Tiger need to go back to driver's ed.
yeah, it would seem.
I thought Mickelson was like one of those guys playing in the 70s with, Arnold Palmer and the.
No.
He's not that old.
You
said he's only a few years older than Tiger.
He's 5 years older.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Tiger's 45 right now. And then, we did live through Randy Couture on the UFC heavyweight championship at 47. So,
yeah. See, I had no idea Phil Mickelson was 50. I thought he was a lot older than that. I thought he was like 60, 70. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that so far is the oldest win in championship history. And do we think he can do it again? Marvin brought up the question, can he sustain it? Do we think he'll do it again? Or, I even watched an interview with him where he said, I don't know.
Like, I told my friend on Sunday when he texted me about Phil Mickelson winning, and I was like, nah. So I think I'm gonna stay the same. I'm gonna hold my stance on him not stringing it together. I'm not a hater, but Phil's just too competitive.
I'm gonna say he's gonna do it. He's gonna go for 2.
Go for 2. He's trying to keep the good karma alive for Tom.
Hopefully Tiger.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's get I think we can squeeze one more in here before we get on to the main event for the first half, because we got some whopping stories for the second half. So let's talk about Carmelo Anthony. Okay. We're going to switch back over to the NBA. The whole rest of the show, except for the wild card, is the NBA. Carmelo Anthony had 18 points and three-pointers in the Trailblazers' win over the Denver Nuggets. Now, if you don't know, Denver is one of his hometown crowds, right? Because he did play for 7 seasons over at the Nuggets. But he was booed virtually throughout the game. He was booed. Still, and I don't understand. We saw a lot of animosity with like Cleveland and James and, these teams and these crowd base. I mean, guys, first and foremost, I have to ask, why are the Nuggets fans still booing Carmelo Anthony? Sahi?
Because he's the enemy. It's playoff time. I can see if it's even a regular season game. Then I know he played in Denver and he won some playoff series and he did some nice things in Denver, but he the way he left Denver, like, especially come playoff time, the way he left when he was there, that's going to he broke hearts in Denver. So it's understandable that they're going to boo him every single time, especially that he's doing good. You know what I'm saying? He's coming in there. He's coming into your house after a long career. He used to play for you, and he's mixing you up, doing you dirty. yeah, you're gonna boo him. You know what I'm saying? Like if your ex do you dirty, you ain't gonna be happy for her after you see her doing good. You know what I'm saying? You'll be like, man, that, you know, I hate you. That's what you're gonna be saying inside. But the Denver fans just let it out. You know what I'm saying?
Marvin, it's been a while since we've been able to have fans side by side. And I do want to bring up this cool little statistic just because it's on the top of my head. I saw something like 92% in certain stadiums over the course of the playoffs have vaccinated fans, which I just wanted to do a quick little thank you to the people that went ahead and did that to make it possible to be sitting side by side and cheering on. But Marvin, my question is it time to let it go? Why are they still booing the man?
No, it's time for him to let it go. I mean, what good does that do booing him now? I mean, yeah, I see that he's the enemy and all, but how many years ago was that since he been there? I mean, let it go. You got Nikola Jokic, you got the Joker, you got Jamal Murray coming back. You know, the only reason that they're booing is just because they might get sent home in the first round. That's the reason why they're booing. It's because I think that they feel that they're going to get bounced in the first round, which is very possible because they have, like I said, they have no Jamal Murray. The fans know it. They want to take it out on Carmelo. But, you know, as we all know, it's a reflection of how these fans feel about their team and their future right now. And they know that their future is not going as far as they did last year. So I don't know why they're taking it out on Melo, but all we know is that this is just, they're projecting this on the wrong person. They should get mad at Damian Lillard for dropping 34 on their head. So get mad at him because he looks like he's ready to send them home in the first round. That's what they should be worried about. But the fans,
that's the real enemy.
Yeah, but the fans, they just go to show that a guy can give you 7 years of his best, want to go somewhere else because he know he can't win there. At that time, he knew we wasn't winning there. So I mean, these fans, I know they got their hearts broken, but they also got to understand how the organization works. And it will still work to this day because once those contracts are up, teams are trying to make pitches and snatch the hearts of, start to snatch hearts right out of the fans' chest by taking their star player and put them on another team. So, I mean, it's not Melo's fault. The same thing. The fans probably would boo Nikola Jokic if he went to the Knicks. You know, when his contract is up, or Jamal Murray, when his contract is up, he goes somewhere else. They would boo it. So it would never change. So, man, whatever. These fans, they're going to do what they do.
What about Brooklyn, man? You lived in Brooklyn. What if Melo goes and has a game in Brooklyn? Is he going to get booed there?
Nah, he not going to get booed in Brooklyn. He's from Brooklyn. He is Brooklyn. He's Red Hook, Brooklyn. So they're not going to boo him there. Melo is beloved in New York. They knew what happened here wasn't his fault. It was Phil Jackson that ran him out of town. But Brooklyn would give him probably a warm reception. They give him more respect than those Denver Nuggets fans deserve because they got 2 stars, 2 all-stars, and they're booing a former all-star that doesn't even have more points than the current all-star on their team. So these fans don't know what they want, man.
Sahi, is that true, or is he the enemy in Brooklyn too because he left?
When he walks into that Denver stadium again, they need to be playing that CeeLo. I see you driving around town with the girl I love, and I'm like, fuck you. That's what they need to be doing. But in New York, like you said, he's from New York. They're not gonna boo one of their own. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, he was forced out of New York. So he good in New York, but at Denver, they really ain't had nothing. They trying to taste it. So anybody that they view was the enemy, they look at him like a traitor. And once you a traitor, you always a traitor. Because you know what I'm saying? They don't have nothing to look at. You know what I'm saying? For either his years or after. Like Cleveland, they could forgive Bron. He came back and gave him a championship. You know what I'm saying? But Denver, They ain't got nothing. All they got is hate in their hearts, and they let it out. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you brought the man up, and we had a GOAT alert last week. It's time to argue it. Richie, I know you're watching at home. We miss you, my friend. We can't wait to hear your take on this. But Marvin, last week you did claim that LeBron King James is the greatest basketball player of all time. I believe it is time to address that. So how we do it, when we have a GOAT alert to address, you are going to go ahead and state your case for LeBron James as greatest of all time. Sahi, you'll rebuttal, and then you guys can just have at it. Okay, sounds fair?
Cool.
Fair to me, it's cool.
All right, it's all you, Marvin. Go ahead.
Okay. Where do I start? All right. LeBron James, to me, is the greatest player of all time because he brought a championship to Cleveland, Ohio. And if you take LeBron and you switch him with Michael Jordan, and you give Michael Jordan those same Cavalier teams that LeBron had to drag to the finals, he would never come up. He would never have a ring. It would have never happened. Michael Jordan, if you switch him with LeBron, is not beating that Golden State Warriors team. That's not happening. And so the fact that LeBron was able to accomplish that just, to me, set him aside from Michael Jordan, because he did something that I believe he couldn't do for one of the smallest market franchises in the NBA. We just don't see that happening. Chicago is a high market city. So I mean, they have a lot of value. So they were able to have Michael Jordan was able to have a cast alongside for him for those 6 championships. LeBron didn't. He had Kyrie and Kevin Love, which fortunately they were able to win that one championship. But when you look at, the greatest of all time, I think LeBron stands out from Michael Jordan because of his work off the floor. I mentioned that before. His activism for racial injustice, against police brutality, all that factors in, with me, personally, because it just shows that he's willing to speak out, that he's not afraid to use his position, his voice. He's aware how powerful his voice is, and not only to the people of Ohio where he's from, but across the world, the kids across the world. I feel like nobody has had an impact on the game or our youth really as much as LeBron James has. Now, I'm not saying Michael Jordan has it. I'm not taking away anything Michael Jordan has done, but when I compare the GOATs, the greatest of all time, those are 3 guys I think about: LeBron, Kobe, and Mike. Now, it's hard to shuffle them around and say which one's first out of respect for Kobe, but without Michael Jordan, there wouldn't be Michael Jordan, there wouldn't be Kobe, and there wouldn't be LeBron. So, without the 3, they've all modeled them, their games after one another. But I think LeBron has separated himself from the pack. You look at the achievements. The 4 championships, the 4 MVPs, the numerous All-Star appearances. And the list goes on. The records that have been broken. You can look at the finals losses, but look how many times he's been there. And is still going strong at age 36. So I think LeBron James is the most durable, most talented all-around basketball player that has ever lived. When you look at statistically in every category, what he's been able to do from the beginning of his career to now, it's off the charts. I mean, you're talking about 12 years of averaging over 25 points a game. That is more than Michael Jordan. That is more than Kobe Bryant. That is more than Kevin Durant. LeBron James is in a class of his own. So to me, that is why LeBron James is the greatest of all time, because he has done, to me, in my mind, has done something that I don't think any other NBA superstar can do in the modern NBA today, which is win a championship with a small market franchise. I just won't see it happening. LeBron has done that. And so he doesn't have, he's trying to collect more rings. But to me, when he won that chip in Cleveland, I was like, oh yeah, you got it. You got it. It's there, because that's something that I never would have thought I'd see. The Browns, Cleveland sports, y'all, Cleveland sports. Think about that for a second, y'all. Think about that. Y'all laugh because I'll tell y'all what comes to mind when y'all think of Cleveland sports. Comedy, them losing all, throughout the years. The fumbles,
Right.
The fumbles,
Right.
just the embarrassing losses on the biggest stages. Cleveland sports. And LeBron is taking those hits, and he finally achieved that championship for Cleveland. 52 years. Remember that, y'all. 52 years. Richie, you watching? 52 years. LeBron did it. He's the GOAT, man.
This man is always hating on Cleveland. It doesn't matter if it's Division II Cleveland High School.
I love Cleveland. Listen, man, I love Cleveland. I love the city. Y'all know I love the city. Anyone listen to why I know I love Cleveland, man. But they are unsuccessful in sports. They are bad juju. They are bad luck. The lake caught on fire. They have been the joke, a sports joke throughout all of history. Like, when you bring up Cleveland sports, all you can do is laugh, man. I'm telling you, they lost to you see the way they lost to the Cubs in 2016? They lost 3-1. They were up 3 games to 1. Don't go ahead, Saeed, man. I'm done. I don't want to talk about Cleveland sports. I get too emotional about it.
The lake is on fire. All right, Saeed. It's all yours.
Yeah. It's hard. It really is hard to argue against LeBron being the greatest of all time. But the fact of the matter is, he's not. All right. I say this all the time. LeBron, he was destined to play the game of basketball. He is the most athletically gifted player of almost any sport. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the most dominant players of almost any sport, like, that plays professionally. Like, there's no LeBron in the NFL. There's no LeBron in golf or hockey. LeBron is why they call him King James, because he's the only one. He's one of the most, you know what I'm saying? Like, wow, this guy. Look at this guy. He's super fast. He can jump really high. And he can kind of shoot. I mean, he's intelligent. He can do all the things. He knows where to be, the right spots. And he can get there. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of guys know the right spots, but they can't get there. He's one of the most physically gifted guys ever to play the game of basketball. But does that make him the greatest of all time? I don't know. I would say Jordan. You know what I'm saying? That's when you say greatest of all time, man. Jordan, he's Jordan to me. He's 1B, because there's a guy that came, the late great Kobe Bryant, that took everything that the greatest of all time did and it did it better. He didn't win. He won one less championship because a guy that he was playing with was a big crybaby, old Shaq. You know what I'm saying? If he could have just stuck it out, they could have won 4, 5, 6, 7. You know what I'm saying? But they got their 3. And Kobe took a guy in Pau Gasol that nobody really wanted for real. They took a guy that liked to beat up people and run our tests. You know what I'm saying? The crackhead Lamar Odom, he took them guys to the finals and won twice. You can't say he ain't the greatest of all time. He scored 81 points, man. 81 in this era. LeBron could never score 81. Jordan could probably do it, but against the guys that Kobe was playing against, no way. No way. Kobe was you know what I'm saying? He was the greatest guy to watch, man. He just made you want to win. That's all. That Mamba mentality. Ain't no. He took because there's who else? Who else can you say is a carbon copy of Jordan? Everybody could study Jordan. Everybody could practice like Jordan, but can they do it? There's a guy that came along. His name was Kobe Bryant. Did it, won 5 championships. Yeah, LeBron's been to 10 plus finals, but 2 of them, you know what I'm saying? They great value championships because he went down to Miami and got them on the cheap. You know what I'm saying? He low-key stole them championships. He got 1 in Cleveland and he got 1 in LA. He really only got 1 championship because his 4th one was in the bubble. You know what I'm saying? So, like, there's asterisks by 3 of his championships. The one he got in Cleveland is the one you really only talked about, which is his real only championship, even though he goes to the finals a lot. But there's no way anybody else could be, you know what I'm saying, the greatest of all time other than Jordan. I mean, what am I saying?
You lying to yourself.
No, I don't know. It's Kobe. It's Kobe, without a doubt. I mean, they're both 1. It's 1A, 1B. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can interchange them how you want.
Marvin, we got a couple minutes left, literally a couple minutes left before the break. Do you have a rebuttal to that?
Yeah, man. I mean, when you he stole championship. First of all, we want to go back and look at the 2016 NBA Finals, right? Draymond Green cost the Golden State Warriors their chance at winning that championship. I mean, that was a 73-9 team that year. He got himself suspended because he tried to do some WWE low blow shit, you know, and the referee didn't see it. But when they ran that tape, they're like, okay, we're going to suspend you, Draymond. Cavs picked up the momentum in game 5 that led the game, momentum game and win in game 6. We all know what happened in game 7. It was all history. But when you go look at the back-to-back, I mean, you look at that, LeBron has a back-to-back. But not only that, just a real quick rebuttal. I mean, when you look at LeBron's teams and his squads over the years, he's had some trash that he's had to drag to the finals. I mean, guys like that, I mean, might as well been us on this panel that he took to the finals. Just complete nobodies. You don't remember their names. And I just think that when you look at his impact on the team, he makes everybody better. You know, he would make us better. You know, I think that we would, you know, if LeBron started just a YMCA team and just, you know, we're like, I'm just going to do a drawing. And I'm going to start with guys from The Wire, different podcasts. I'm going to start with Justin Duvall and Sahi West. And you're going to just build this team. He just makes everybody better. And he's still doing that at 36. He brings out the best in everybody, you know, and I just don't know. I don't get it, but he just has that impact on the game differently than those killers like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. LeBron just has a different impact. You know, he's not screaming at team. Well, he does scream, but it's just a different way of camaraderie that he has with the team. You know, and Kobe and Mike's teammates feared them. You know, they absolutely feared them. You know, LeBron's teams, I've noticed throughout the years, they don't necessarily fear him. You know, I think that he has a way of, you know, really bringing out, like I said, the best in every single guy on the roster is try to make sure everybody's on board to pursue a championship, which I think is exactly why LeBron has the finals losses that he does on his record, because, obviously you look at the landscape of the East when he was playing, but when you look at that 2018 squad, I dare you to go and I dare anybody to tell me who is the second best player on that team, and don't say Kevin Love.
Sorry, you got anything for that? We're gonna go to the break here.
They didn't have Kyrie.
No, I mean they have Kyrie. They had Kyrie, but that's still. I mean, Kyrie injured his kneecap in the 2015 finals. So, I mean, you can't. I mean, if you look at that finals loss, can we really blame LeBron for that? Kevin Love's arm was tore out of his socket by Kelly Olynyk. Can we blame LeBron?
That is true.
We can't blame LeBron for that. LeBron was responsible for taking, hauling, like he's just a U-Haul or Rumpke or some kind of garbage truck company, because he's always hauling trash to the finals. Always. Why he's got to fight? Why he's got to face this super team and that super team?
Man, all right. Well, there is so much wire still yet to come. These guys have had it. Go ahead and put in the comments below who you think the GOAT is if you don't think it's LeBron James, or put why LeBron James is the GOAT. We look forward to hearing from Tony Ray Beach on the H2G podcast at some point who his GOAT is, but I think we can all guess. And Richie will get it back with us next week. We'll be right back. You're watching The Wire. Don't go anywhere. Marvin, I think Bron might be able to take you and Sahi to the finals, but Sahi's seen me play basketball. I'm never going to. And
if you think about it, the Sacramento Kings was a super team back in the day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was okay, a super team. Yeah.
It had everybody.
Baby, Peja Stojakovic, Chris Webber. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So this is Gary43. He says, I feel like Justin is the reason this country has to put directions on shampoo. Do you even know what you're talking about, bro? No, I don't, Gary fucking 43. I have no idea. I don't even use shampoo. I just use 1 3-in-1 body wash, you bastard.
All right, this is from Karen 45. How do you feel about being ranked sexiest man on your podcast when Tony looks like a barbecued Kermit the Frog?
Jesus Christ.
Wait a second. Why? That sounds like a Tony rip. Why is Marvin?
That's a Tony rip. Is that towards me?
Wow.
Does Christy think having a child on her lap makes her seem more likable? Also, get some sleep. You look tired. Thanks, Breezy. I'm trying.
Adam says, I see ratings must have been down. They recruited someone interesting.
Wow.
All right.
Some burn on the rest of us.
Oh, I mean, thank you, Adam.
Ashley says, I watch the show a lot and I was wondering, are you all changing the name to RT2M? Richie talks too much. I don't know what to say, Ashley, other than I feel like I talk exactly as much as I should. So fuck you.
Yes. Oh boy. Margaret says, is it me or when Tony talks, do you get the feeling he's constipated?
Yeah.
What?
That face right there doesn't really help you.
All right, welcome back to The Wire. We had a lot of fun in the first half, and these guys went at it over the GOAT basketball player of all time. But it's time to talk more basketball because it is the NBA playoffs, and it's just that time of year. So let's talk about the Knicks-Hawks game. Man, game one was a dogfight, to say the least. Trae Young, another player who was bombarded all night with not only boos, but chants of, we'll say F you, throughout the game. But despite the riffraff, the young man put up 32 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds in his first ever playoff appearance. I got to give him a hand. Before we go around, I got to give him a hand. What a first showing. He then gave some love back to the crowd at the end of the game with the old Reggie Miller. And then as he's on his way into the locker room, press caught him saying, they're awfully quiet now. They're awfully quiet right at this moment. So first things first, how exciting was it for you guys to see fans back in the stadium for the NBA playoffs? And as a sidebar question with that, was this a display of pent up aggression by the Knicks fan base in Madison Square Garden? Or is this just how it is when you have fans in the NBA playoffs? I think we're at Sahih starting out.
Yeah, it was great. This is one of the games that I watched from beginning to end. It was great. Spike Lee was going crazy in the fourth quarter, dancing down the sideline. The fans are hyped. You can tell that New York was waiting for something like this for a long time. It was just good. It was just great to see. As far as Trae Young getting booed and them saying "F Trae Young," that's just pent up aggression. They haven't been in the playoffs. They forgot what it felt like. They think Trae Young is a superstar. Let's not get it confused. So they want to attack their best player. That's what the fans are there for. And that's why they call it home field advantage. And New York, that's a place where you're going to get that. You know what I'm saying? They're not PC, nice people. You know what I'm saying? Things move fast in New York out here. You know what I'm saying? You come in there, they play in your team. They're like, yo, son, you play on my boys, son. Hey, yo, you, man. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the New York spirit. So they're gonna ride for the hometown to the end. And I figure I think it's gonna be the same thing next game. The fans are really gonna have a chip on their shoulder because of the way Trae Young ended that last game. So they're gonna have signs. They're gonna have everything.
Marvin, you're out there in New York. It is currently your hometown. Is that the energy? Did he describe it well?
Oh yeah, that's definitely the energy. Madison Square Garden, but 10 minutes down the street, so you can feel it. People are not messing around. Their Knicks are back, so they are excited. They're on the edge of their seat. But like Sahih was saying, I mean, Trae Young is exactly what he is. He's a young superstar in the league, and he's trying to make a name for himself, and that's exactly how he's going to react if a typical New York crowd goes off on him like that. You know, they kind of, the New York fans are old school, man. They don't care who you are. They don't care. They would do it, pay respects to the late Kobe Bryant. They used to boo him. They boo all kinds of superstars that come up in that building. When it's playoff time, these Knicks fans, they're going to do whatever it takes to be. They like the player. They're like being like they're one of the players. They like acting like they're one of the players. So they're going to do whatever it takes to make sure you're uncomfortable in that house. And I think that the Hawks are going to have to just keep feeding off that energy come game 2. But we'll see if the Knicks can put up a fight.
Yeah, that's something to think about. I mean, we've been talking about the Knicks Cinderella story to the finals. And last week, I need to remind you guys both, I believe, said that you think that the Knicks could make it through the Hawks, not anywhere past that. I think we all agreed. But with this first showing with the young, do we think the Knicks can turn this around, Marv?
Yeah, I think they can. They lost the game on a last-second shot, a game winner. They played great throughout the game.
Made by Trae Young.
Made by Trae Young. I think that if they make the necessary adjustments come game 2, they should come out on top. They definitely have to play more defense, and Tibbs is a defensive-minded coach. But when you're going up against such a offensive threat, in the Hawks, which you got Trae Young, you're going to have to make sure you put Julius Randle in the right spots where he can be aggressive and do what he's been doing all season long, and like the rest of the role players come with him until they can get a major superstar in the offseason. But I think if they make the right adjustments, they can tie the series come game 2.
Sahih, you said you watched from ticket punch to ticket toss. Do you think they can turn it around, or do you think it's going to be the Hawks that take away the series?
Oh yeah, for sure they can. They have the ability. I think they let it slip away from them a little bit. Trae Young made a great shot, but I feel like Julius Randle didn't play his best game. And I feel like if he's not going to play 2 bad games in a row. They definitely got a shot at taking it. It's going to be a great series. It's going to be 7 games for sure. You know what I'm saying? These teams are going to battle it back and forth, and this is going to be like where one of the young superstars in the East is it going to be Trae Young going into next year, because both of these teams are out after this. But is it going to be Trae Young or is it going to be somebody out of New York? Because that's what New York and the media wants. They want New York to win the series so they can talk about it all off season. They could talk about a new young superstar. And you know what I'm saying? We're just going to see who it's going to be. RJ Barrett's out there. Julius Randle, he's capable. Trey Burke, he might be the unsung hero that comes out of nowhere. No, not Trey, Alec Burke. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. We'll see. I think they got it.
All right. Now we're moving on to a subject that I'm sure Richie's going to be glad to miss because he's just tired of talking about the man. But we got to talk about the fact that something we really didn't expect. I think everyone called both the Warriors and the Lakers moving on, regardless what happened in the play-in. But the Memphis Grizzlies actually moved on and sent the Golden State Warriors home. The Warriors ended the season with a record of 39-33. That's 9th in the NBA Western Conference. Now, something that I thought was pretty interesting, and I wouldn't just bring it back to the table without something like this, but Steve Kerr in a post-game interview said the season was an absolute success. He claimed that over the last 22 games, the team had the absolute best defense in the NBA. And he said that they played good basketball all season. So first things first, fellas, do you agree? Was the Warriors season a success? Marv?
Yeah, I think it was. For all the odds that were stacked against them, not having Klay Thompson and not having James Wiseman, I mean, losing your core, you know, that you've built around. I mean, and you're really your foundation, not having the Splash Brothers. So they were already at a disadvantage to the start of the season because I honestly thought they weren't going to do anything. You know, they were trash at the beginning of the year. They were getting blown out by 50 or more points. Steph would put a towel over his head, and it would just be a sad sight to see. You know, not too sad for me because I'm biased and I'm a Lakers fan. But anyhow, I would say it was success. It was a success because Steph had such a phenomenal year. I mean, what he was doing every night was just historic. With playing with offense that's completely limited. You know, when he goes off the floor, they're pretty much whack. I mean, they have Jordan Poole. They've got I think there's Toscano. They've got they've still got Draymond, but Draymond is an offensive liability. But I think when you look at where they were at the beginning of the year, when they started out completely trash and then ended up in the play-in and challenging the Lakers and almost beating the Lakers, I think you could say it was a success. I think if this play-in tournament didn't exist and they were the 7th, 8th seed, I think they would have probably made some noise in the first round, probably taking the team 7 games. So I think, this season wasn't a wash. And I think there'll be a threat next year.
Sahi, can you agree with that statement or do you disagree with the season being a success for the Warriors?
Basically, just saying it different. Was it a success? No. By Warrior standards, they want to be in the conversation for winning it all every year. But was the failure acceptable? Yes. I feel like it showed that Steve Kerr is the coach that they need. He kept the boys inspired and playing hard all through the season. Steph Curry is the bad boy. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got to see that towards the end of the year through the season. He was talking about people were calling him the best basketball player ever. And we weren't expecting the Warriors to be any kind of a conversation. So Was it acceptable that they made the playoffs? I thought they'd squeeze in, like you said. We all picked them to get in. I thought they'd squeeze in, but they didn't. So they kind of fell toward our expectations. It was a surprise to see them where they were, and it's a good sign headed into next year. But once they get Klay Thompson back, the West needs to watch out. But I feel like they're gonna have to add another piece. Like Marvin said, Draymond's an offensive liability for sure. He's great for the defense, but they're going to need somebody else to really compete in that Western Conference, even for an NBA championship, the way teams are shaping out. Well, I guess we'll talk more about Steph Curry later, but
we'll go ahead and get into it right now. I mean, to your point and to a point we made earlier on, when things get rough on a player, another thing that was talked about in the post-game interview is there's still no update on Klay Thompson's return. We don't know if he will be ready to come back at the start of next season. We don't know if he'll be able to come back in the mid-season or at all next season. So if Klay Thompson's return stays as a big question mark, do we think the Steph Curry is going to start looking for a new home in the NBA?
Well, he wouldn't have to look too far. He can go to Tinseltown, right up the street. It's not that far. And I think that would give LeBron what Sahi was talking about in the previous segment, would give LeBron a super team, and which something I've always wanted to see. I want to see LeBron and Steph just dominate the league. That's what I want to see. I want to see them run through the Western Conference. I want to see them win 70 games. I want to see LeBron have to coax his way to a 5th ring. That's what I want to see, because all the other rings Sahi have been hard to get. They all been hard. All of them.
Right.
The great value championships are still hard to
So he need to tie Michael Jordan real quick, get these 2 more rings.
Right.
It'll be done, man.
So you think if Klay Thompson doesn't come back soon, do you think Steph's going to start looking elsewhere?
Yeah, he definitely should. Like I said, they're going to need more help if they want to compete anywhere. I feel like Marvin's. I would love to see him and LeBron team up. What kind of firepower would that be?
It's an all-star game every night.
Yeah,
it'd be the Lakers versus the Nets every year.
Just think about it for 1 second. LeBron, Steph, and AD.
Yeah. That would be nuts.
Richie's rolling around his living room in his chair right now watching this. Super upset with you, Marvin. I know.
Hey, man, a man can dream.
Continue, Sahi. Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh no, I was pretty much done anyway. Like, he should look elsewhere for sure, especially go to LA. Yeah, that's the only team I would see him going to if he were to leave. To be honest, but who knows? He doesn't. The Warriors either need to add somebody, or he needs to move on.
Could wind up with a Cavaliers jersey on. You never know. Anything could happen in the NBA.
I don't think he's going.
He's from Akron. I don't think he was born at Akron Hospital.
All right.
Nobody wants to talk about that.
Do it, Steph.
Well, we've tiptoed all around the Lakers, but let's talk about them, and something that I think needs to be brought up, because I've been asking you guys and you didn't seem worried. But let's talk about Lakers game 1 against the Phoenix Suns. Now, the man of the night, if you had to give a man of the night award, it probably doesn't go to who you would have expected, with names like LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Chris Paul, all on the court. I would have to say, and you guys can disagree with me, that's fine, that it goes to Devin Booker. Devin Booker led the Suns to a hometown victory, 99-90 over the LA Lakers. Booker finished with 34 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists. But the boy was on fire. LeBron James put up 18. AD only managed 13 points in the whole matchup. So I've got a slew of questions. We're going to stick with this for a little bit here. First question is, if I'm wrong, if it's not Devin Booker, who was the best player on the court, or if it is Devin Booker and you agree with me, were you surprised? Saeed?
The real question here is, where was the best player? We all know who the best player is. It's LeBron James on that court. Where was he? Where was AD? Where were the best players? They didn't show up. That's the story of the game. Devin Booker is a great young talent, and he played one of his best games last night. I wouldn't say best games. I'm not going to go that far, but he played a real solid game. Him and Ayton teamed up, and they really stuck it to LeBron and them. Truthfully, that was his first playoff. They're both first playoff experience, so they did a great job. But where were the best players? Was my answer.
Marvin, same question.
Yeah, I'll have to piggyback off what Saeed said about where was the best players at. I think you put out an APB on Anthony Davis, because I don't know where the hell he was the other night. I mean, 9 points. This dude dropped 31 on them last game. Did a 3, almost a 180 dunk, and said, "I'm back." You can't drop 9 points against them in the next game. That doesn't make any sense. So the Lakers to me, they are playing too passive right now. And, this has always been a knock against LeBron. And it's always been my knock against LeBron. They've been, and me speaking so highly of him in the previous segments. But LeBron, to me, in game ones of the first rounds of the NBA postseasons, he always seems to play so passive. And so when he plays passive, I feel like I said, he has an impact on the team. It's a trickle-down effect. Everybody else does too. So I don't know if it's a fill-out game or whatever it is, but the Lakers can't afford to be filling out teams, or LeBron can't afford to be this passive in game ones, because game two, you don't know what can happen. Like I said, you got these young superstars today, like Trae Young, Devin Booker, Julius Randle. These guys are coming out to get it, so the Lakers are I don't want to hit the panic button just yet, but they're in some trouble if they don't step it up, because it's unacceptable to have your 1-2 punch only combined for less than 25 points. You just can't have that. You can't have that, especially in a game that's very important, a game one that sets the tone for the rest of the series. So I think you can, take your hat off to Devin Booker. DeAndre Ayton completely outplayed Anthony Davis. But the Lakers, they have a chance to clean it up in game two, make the right adjustments. It's going to be a long series. But I think that one thing you can look at this, the Lakers catch a break a little bit with Chris Paul kind of going down with an injury. But we'll see how healthy he is. But the Lakers are going to have to step it up if they want to win.
Yeah, let's dive into AD a little bit. I mean, he was described on ESPN as putting on an atrocious performance this week. I mean, and I don't think they're too far off. But the question is, was this an off night for AD? Or was it DeAndre Ayton just being, the kid put up 21 points, 18 rebounds, and he had a 90% accuracy rate. He shot 10 for 11. The dude was on fire and he shut him down. Was he just that much better last night against AD?
Yeah, last night. I'm not going to say overall he's better than Anthony Davis, because we all know on this panel that he is not. But this just attests to Anthony Davis's performance. Just being atrocious. And Anthony Davis, like I said, like LeBron, has had these knacks for coming out in games and being extremely passive. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's jet lag, or whatever it is. But but he's going to have to snap out of it, because we all know that's not Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a walking double-double. He's not, he is one of the most dominant, if not the most dominant big man in the NBA, next to Joel Embiid, a 4 or 5 that can stretch the floor, that's got a handle and has a 3. He's better than 9 points. We all know that. So this is just, I mean, you give a round of applause for DeAndre Ayton, but this is a young, he's a young man playing a grown man's game, and he got his licks on AD in game 1. But when I look at the matchup over the entirety of the series, I think I'm going to give AD the upper hand. We'll see what he does. That was an atrocious performance. I agree with ESPN, but got to give AD the benefit of the doubt. Lakers have the benefit of the doubt. They're defending world champions.
And we'll give it where it's due. He did finish out with 13, so not a whole lot better. Doesn't really speak a lot for AD. Now, no. Sahi, I mean, he's kind of putting some of the blame on AD and not DeAndre Ayton's performance. Do you agree with that? But also, do you think that the blame should be on KD, or do you think it should be on LeBron, or do you think they should split it?
I feel like they just came out and they didn't play with a sense of urgency. They didn't play like they needed this game. Ayton played a great game. He's a great player. He's going to have those nights. Was it super spectacular? No. In comparison to AD really doing nothing, of course, Ayton's performance is going to look better. They call what AD did was atrocious. Was Ayton's play the direct cause of AD playing the way he did? I don't think so. Ayton's not like a shutdown player. AD's one of the best players in the league. So Ayton didn't shut down AD, so he just did what he came to play, and AD didn't. That's just as simple as that. And when you lose, the blame is going to be pointed at you. So if whoever wants to take all the blame, somebody's got to be to blame. You know what I'm saying? And in a game like basketball, there's only so many people to blame. Those guys on the court, it's not a lot. They're the 2 best players, so that's who people are going to point at. Be like, this is your fault. We lost. And if you look at the stats, it's pretty true. Like, they both didn't play a great game. It's not like AD had 40 points and LeBron was struggling and had a bunch of turnovers or something. They both didn't score a lot. They just didn't look like they were ready to play.
Marvin, I'll let you answer that too. Do you think they should share the blame? But also, you guys have had a lot of faith in the Lakers, and I know some of it's biased fan base faith, but some of it's just based on facts. I mean, they are the team to beat, but even with the injury riddled and working their way down the rankings all the way to almost not even getting in. I mean, they squeezed into the playoffs. Now they're here. What do the Lakers need to do going forward, specifically with this series, but in general, to stay alive?
Well, LeBron James has to be LeBron James. Like Sai said, he has to be the best. You have to be the best player in the world. You have to be that guy. As LeBron described himself the other night when he hit that shot, you got to be that man in the building. So I think that, with LeBron's playoff experience, LeBron's been here before. He's seen, going up against teams like this with this much talent. I mean, he's got Chris Paul on the other side, but he's hurt too. But I think the Lakers have overcome a lot. I know it sounds like it's fan biased, but no, this is just straightforward. Yes, they'll go as far as an 85 to 90% healthy LeBron James takes them. I'll put it like that. That's how far they'll go. If he goes anything below that or worse, they're not winning. We all know that, because Anthony Davis is not the guy that's completely stepped into that role that a lot of people thought he would, like a dominant big man like we've seen since Shaq. That's not Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis is great. But, that's the kind of adjustments the Lakers are going to have to make, is that you need their bigs. Their bigs are going to have to play big. That's what's going to happen. I mean, you've got Andre Drummond, you've got Anthony Davis, you got Marc Gasol. They're going to have to utilize all their pieces because the Suns are not going to be a quick out. This is their first playoff appearance since Steve Nash or whatever. I don't remember when the Suns were in the playoffs. I mean, it seems as if when they got cooler jerseys, they decided to be good. The Valley. I mean, where'd they come up with that? And I was looking at the game the other day. I was like, man, if they were playing with their old school jerseys on, they'd be losing by 20 right now. So Lakers just got to make the right adjustments come game 2. That's all. And we'll see. But the Suns are on fire right now, and it's gonna be a tough game 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Sahi, last little take on the Lakers. What do they need to do to stay alive?
To stay alive, they're alive. They're alive and well. Every playoff series they had in the bubble, they lost game 1. Mm-hmm. And everybody was like, oh, the Lakers in trouble. Oh, somebody save LeBron. They lost game 1. And then they come out game 2, they get the win. They come out game 3, get the win, game 4, get the win, game 5, close it out. So if they lose the second game, we go over this and be like, yo, how concerned are you? And I might be a little concerned. But for the most part, I'm not worried about what the Lakers are doing. They seem to be fine. If they lose the second game, then I'll be a little worried. But LeBron's got a plan. It's a method to the madness. It's a reason why he's been to as many finals in a row as he has been. He knows how to get there. So it's no sweat. It's no sweat on my back right now. I'm cool.
I don't need to remind you guys though. This season is a bit different, right? Because it is stacked on top of another season, and they didn't have Anthony Davis for the majority of the season, and he hasn't, at least to me, I've got no allegiance in LA, so I could speak some reason. He hasn't shown himself to be fully recovered. He's had some good games to say he's back, but right out of the rip, he kind of looked like he did this last night, to be completely honest. So we haven't seen, now your guys' faith goes a long way, but we haven't seen the Lakers show themselves from last year with the injuries that they have been plagued with. And LeBron, we can't forget, he also missed several weeks. But okay, we will move on to the wild card as we close it off. And you guys hear my cat wants to get involved by throwing the bell around here. He's telling us it's time for the wild card. I saved an NFL story for you guys for the wild card. I'm excited. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers again. It's the wild card because, man, this quarterback carousel just keeps spinning around. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't show up to the Packers OTAs, which stands for Organized Team Practice Activities, we'll get into why the P is not in the abbreviation some other day. Do you guys think that Jordan Love will step up and try to prove himself and earn that spot over number 12? Keep in mind, these practices are voluntary, but any other year we would see Aaron Rodgers at these practices.
If Aaron Rodgers is on that team, Jordan Love's not getting on that field. He could be Patrick Mahomes in OTA. All right, he's not taking Aaron Rodgers' spot. This isn't the time to do it. Jordan Love needs to just go in there and learn. Do the best he can because who would expect Rodgers to show up to OTAs anyway? It's not like, you know what I'm saying, that they got a lot of young talent on the offense in the draft. You know what I'm saying? They didn't get no great wide receivers in the draft. They're not helping Rodgers out there. Why would he go out there and help them? You know what I'm saying? Y'all go out there and do what you do. You know what I'm saying? Aaron Rodgers is going to they're going to play, be starting quarterback or not play because they're not trading him. So this is a rough situation. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But Jordan Love has no shot at taking the starting spot. You know what I'm saying?
I will say, Marvin, definitely going to give you your piece. I will say, Rodgers has been known to make it to OTAs. I mean, he is an extremely helpful quarterback in that regard, and making it to those practices. Go ahead, Marvin.
I mean, he wants out of there, so he's not going to show up. I mean, I think he's dug in at this point. I don't think that the Packers, there's anything that they can do. I think that if Jordan Love is going to have to be as prepared as he's ever been, because it seems as if, and I hope EA Sports and Madden, they prepare for this, because Aaron Rodgers will probably not be the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers to start of the season. It will probably be Jordan Love. And that changes the entire landscape of the NFC North. So when you look at it, I think that Aaron Rodgers is pretty much done with Green Bay at this point. If this hasn't shown you him not, if this hasn't proven you that he's done with them, I mean, this is all the proof you need, him not showing up. Because that's not Aaron Rodgers, like you said, that we've known over the years. He shows up to OTAs. He's very committed, but he is not committed to this Packers organization because they weren't committed to him. So he's out.
So, hey, you got a rebuttal? We good there?
Yeah, I mean, it's either one or two ways I see it. You know what I'm saying? Aaron Rodgers is going to be in just to, fill out that contract, or he's just not going to play. I think he's still trying to decide. I don't see him playing. I would love to see him play in another jersey next year. But it's, I don't have anything else on it. This is such a messy situation. It's hard to, because why would he want, you know what I'm saying? I'm sitting here like, why does he want out in the first place? The Packers don't want to trade him. I mean, they were just in the NFC Championship game. What's really going on with the Packers? Like, they got it's not like they're a sorry team. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on with Aaron Rodgers? It just blows my mind. I can't wrap my head around it to have a solid take on it, because it's like, where are we going? What's happening?
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I think every sports analyst and any sports station all over the country is asking the same question, Sahi. None of us know. I know one team somewhere in Pennsylvania that could use a solid quarterback for a couple of Super Bowls to end things. I just know.
Yeah. Who's talking about? You got one.
No, we don't.
You got one. Ride him till the wheels come off.
The wheels have been off on the ground.
Well,
stacked up.
Those are training wheels.
No, I don't think so. I think the real wheels got knocked off.
One thing what you got in Pittsburgh is an old school bike. A bike that still works. It's not flashy, but it still works. You can still go out and it still take you around the block. That's what kind of bike y'all got there.
You're showing the world that we're all from Dayton and we had to ride our bikes until the wheels fell off.
Yeah, man.
I remember putting my bike on the side of the road praying somebody would take it.
Yeah. Nah. Steelers Nation would love to see that. I think a lot of teams would do their bidding for Aaron Rodgers, but I think point blank, he's done. He's done with Green Bay, and I think that the Aaron Rodgers era is ended in Green Bay. We saw him in the NFC Championship for the last time. I know, speaking as a former Packers fan, I don't want to see them there again. You want to know why? Because they'll lose. That's why I don't want to see the Packers go to the NFC Championship again. I want to see the Packers just have to be a rebuild team, and maybe 4 or 5 years they get another quarterback that they hype up like Aaron Rodgers that becomes the next Brett Favre, and they treat him the same exact way. It's a vicious cycle in Green Bay, man.
Man. Well, this has been one heck of a show. Thank you guys, as always, for your opinions. I love you both. We will see you next week, Richie. We missed you. Be ready. We want to hear your GOAT take on the basketball, because I know we can't just leave it the way it was. For The Wire this week, that is all we got for you. Make sure you check us out on next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We are coming up on our season finale. We'll keep you posted on that. We only take a couple weeks off here, so don't worry there. Speaking of season finales, make sure this Friday night you check out the H2G Podcast. They bring season 5 to a close. It's going to be the H2G season championship for the Anything Championship Game of the Week. That's going to be fun. Don't want to miss it. It's a hilarious episode. So make sure you go check that out. You can find all of our stuff at H2Gpodcast.com. That goes for both podcasts. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and where all audio podcasts are played. Till next Wednesday. Have a good one, will you? Man. You think Aaron Rodgers is done? Like all the way cooked, done?
No, he's not all the way done. He's a magician. Magicians can go for as long as they want to go. Now, when you have in Pittsburgh, he's not a magician. He's like more like a mechanic. And you can rely on him sometimes. He's gonna show up to work. He's gonna be there. He's gonna be there.